Okay, still, and we're on.
Well, you think we're on. So the last time we tried to go live, I was just wrong and we started the intro too soon. So this is a really serious conversation we're going to have today about AI. My name's Trevor Crane. That beautiful bald son of a gun over there, John Michael Thomas, is going to be our AI expert, who is going to go ahead and share with us how we can clone ourselves to the world. Or he helped me when we jumped on an AI conversation, and he said, "Trevor, I'm going to help you become 10 times more effective than any person you know that's using AI. I'm going to help you figure out, if you want to, how to go ahead and make I not just your compatriot, like someone that's working with you, but can actually become your advisor." He didn't know that's what I wanted, but he's like, that's the highest level of using AI. And I said, I want some. So I'm inviting him here to announce his new book, to talk about how he's going to make it rain. This is Mr. John Michael Thomas, Mr. AI expert, known as the AI guy. I don't know if that's true. Like, what is it going to be? Nice to
The
be
AI
here, dude.
whisperer, that's me. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, dude. What's the dream? What are you trying to do with AI, and why should people pay attention to you and what you have to say? Talk to me.
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me on, Trevor. I really appreciate it. And really look forward to a chance to let people know about AI. My book is your AI transformation blueprint. And so what I do is I work with CEOs and business owners to help them not just use AI, but figure out how to actually transform their business, like from the ground up. Because people talk a lot about AI adoption, but AI adoption just means you're using it. Doesn't mean it's doing anything for you, right? AI transformation is about value. And the reason this is important to me is, in 2022, 2023, I was running operations at an enterprise software company, and I did not have time. I didn't have time to think about AI. I just started up two new functions. I was setting up two new functions while still running all of these different teams. And AI came on the scene, and I was like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, something kind of flipped, right? And I kind of recognized there's something here that I need to do something about. And I think a lot of leaders have gone through this where you're like, I don't really know what this is yet, but I need to do something about it. And I talked to the rest of our leadership team. Everybody's like, whatever, we'll wait. I'm like, no, we need to do something now. And so I had no time at all, but I said, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to run with it. I'm going to figure
And
it
when
out.
was this? When
This
was
was
this?
in early 2023. So now I have experience with machine learning and AI earlier in my career, but I hadn't really been paying a lot of attention to it. And so when this was really when ChatGPT came on the scene. So like many people know, ChatGPT got to 100 million users faster than any app in history, and it wasn't even close. I mean, it was like boom. So AI really just kind of blew up. And so I said, hey, this is important for our business, but I don't know how yet. Right. And so I had to figure it out. And so I hired consultants to come in. I looked at how we're using it internally, and I had to figure all this out. And it was really overwhelming. Right. So I, I was there. I'm like, there's so much information coming in. I don't know how this is going to use. I start looking at our product, and our competitors are coming out with these new features, and I'm like, is that a real thing? Is it eye candy? What is it? And so I had to work through this all. And in the process of doing that, I got to a point where I was trying to use AI and figure out how to use this thing, and I stopped trying to give it all these fancy prompts, and I said, you know, I just naturally fell into what I do when I work with people, and I started, okay, I'm going to give it what I want to do, why I want to do it, and I did. I gave it exactly what I do when I work with people, and all of a sudden, boom, I got some really amazing stuff back, and I said, wait a minute, everybody's teaching you got to do this prompt engineering, you got to do this fancy stuff, but you know what? I just used my management skills, and it rocked, and it killed. And so I said, more people need to know how to do this, right? And the thing is, a lot of leaders, they're afraid of it because it's a technology, right? And if you look at most AI consultants, you look at most training, they're teaching you, here's how you use this tool, here's the technology, but guess what? That actually isn't helping anybody, right? If you look at every technology transformation in history, one of the absolute guaranteed failure modes is to try to force non-technical people to learn technical skills. It doesn't work. And that's exactly what we're doing with AI right now. So I realized when I went through that, hey, my management skills work better than all that technical stuff. And I didn't want to learn prompt engineering, so maybe I was a little biased, but I said, forget that stuff. I'm going to just use my management skills. And what I found is I started teaching some other people to do this, and they're like, hey, this works. And then I started to expand that, and I said, what else are we doing where we're treating this like something brand new, but it's really not, right? This is my fifth major technology transformation that I've been through in my career. I've been around a long time, right? And so people are saying it's this brand new thing, and when you really look into it, it's not all that brand new, right? It comes down to some of the same things. If you look at the studies, McKinsey did studies, MIT NANDA did a study, there's all these studies, and they say that when you look at AI and AI transformation, 70% of the failures in AI projects are due to people and process. They're not due to the technology. And guess what? That's the exact same percentage that there was in every prior technology transformation. It's the same thing. We're not dealing with a new technology. We're dealing with how people deal with that technology. Does that help?
I'm impressed, dude. That was quite a rant and quite on point. I depending on how people are consuming this podcast right now, if they're consuming it live, when you're talking, they don't see my slides pop up. So I want to make sure I give away the QR code that you gave us to join the wait list. And so if you want to go to get John's new book or to get access and join the waitlist for his new book, go to epic.media/JMT. That's for John Michael Thomas. And dude, I know that that's some of the coaching and things that you advised me on, but I didn't understand the backstory. And the backstory being like, I didn't know how passionate you were about it. And that's nice to hear that you were like finding the frustration of being this tech guy but not able to like necessarily figure out the prompting when you said, let me talk to this AI as though it's a human and a person and give it the inputs that a person would need to do this thing instead of thinking it's this magical box that's just going to
Yeah.
weirdly read your mind. Dude, that was beautiful. Let me probe a little bit on the results that you're trying to create. And thank you for telling such a good story about the pains that people struggle with, or that sounds like you had to transition. And that now you're teaching all the problem solving that you've had for decades as your roles in companies to how do you go ahead and better utilize, AI and treating it more like a person and needing the same, I guess, access and resources and things. We talked about this a bit. What would be some measurable goals that you have for what you're trying to achieve for yourself or this book or things that, because John, when you're here, I want to make sure you cast a vision that I can go ahead and celebrate and see like, hey, he said he was going to make that thing happen, and now he made it happen. What is the dream more clearly on what you're trying to help people create that's quantifiable for you?
Quantifiable for me.
Yeah, because I want to know, like, when you can come back and celebrate, like, here's a
Yeah.
win. Here's a win.
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest win would be getting my book into more people's hands, right? Because, I'm a consultant, I'm a fractional CAIO, which is Chief AI Officer, but I can only work with so many people directly, right? But this stuff works for a lot more people. And so the more people I can get to actually read the books, and by the way, I'm not going to make any money off the books, but I just want people to read them, the more people can actually get unstuck. So like if you look at, again, you look at the studies, MIT NANDA said that only 5% of companies achieve real significant value with their AI efforts. Okay, that's pretty miserable. If you look at another study that was done around the same time from McKinsey, they said only 4% achieve significant value. So you can pick your number. They both suck, right? Basically, 1 in 20 companies are actually being true as successful with AI as they want. And that's completely unnecessary, right? So I feel the pain, and I don't want people to have that pain. I want people to be able to move forward because AI can have such a dramatic impact on the business. Now, the other part of this, which is a little bit broader, right? My hope for the world is one of the mistakes that a lot of leaders make is that they say, okay, I can take AI and now I can get rid of my staff because AI is going to do their job. But that is such a mistake because if you look at it, like if you look at the huge companies, maybe yes, they have too many people and they need to let them go, and AI is their excuse. Okay, I get that. But when you look at small companies making that mistake and saying, hey, I'm going to let people go and replace them with AI, that's a huge mistake because the one thing that small companies or mid-sized businesses, they always are resource constrained. They can never afford to hire all the people that they need to hire. So when they say, hey, I'm going to let people go with AI, that's a category mistake. It's saying I'm going to stay in scarcity mode forever, rather than saying AI can now allow me to make my people get more work done. And now I can actually fill some of those positions that I couldn't afford to fill before. So, right, it gives small and mid-sized businesses a chance to go from scarcity mode, where we never have enough, to, hey, I can actually do more now. Now you're getting into abundance mode. Now we can do things that our competitors are not doing. And so this isn't just it isn't just about, hey, the leaders are going to get this book. It's also about, when you as a leader are successful with AI, you are going to do right to your people, and you are going to be able to outcompete your competitors who don't get it, right? So I want to reach out to the people who want to beat their competitors with AI, who want to know how to do it right, and who don't want to have to go through the stuttering, hey, we made this mistake and we've got to pull back and we wasted these resources. I want as many people as I can get the book to, so that we can avoid that. The more everybody's going to win, right? And it affects the economy, it affects everything when we hit that point.
Now, John, I love it, and I'm gonna call you out a bit for something specific to see if we can, because I want to invite you back for some of these wins, right? So, to be clear, and I know you've been working on creating the book. So because there's the order and sequence.
It is.
There's the order and sequence that I recommend we go about this sucker. So it's the announcement that we have a book coming out, which is why everybody should go join the wait list. And then they become part of how you can get this book into more people's hands. So you can do that. And then I know you're going to give away some free gifts here. You can talk about whatever that is that comes with this when they go there. So go to epic.media/JMT. And if you want to ask a live question, because we are live on YouTube and LinkedIn, assuming I didn't mess something up, just type in the chat AI, and we're happy to answer any questions. Just type in the chat AI. We have one of our rainmakers out there who can connect with you and get us the question. So
we do have a question from the Peanut Gallery.
Let me finish my thoughts before I get to that one, because I will
go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't derail me. Like on our last thing, there was like this ADHD thing, and I'm like, oh, maybe I resemble that remark. Hold on, John. Let me see. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I was saying more specifics. So here's what I know your book needs. Or no, I don't know. This is an opportunity, right? I would love for your book to have a new success story in it, and not just one, but let's say a baker's dozen. A baker's dozen of new success stories, given the new climate that we're in. And holy baloney, does AI move fast? So and I know you've already got success stories that you can share that are in your book and then are framing things. But my challenge to you is to come up with new ones, which also challenges you to go connect with more people and help them. So I'm going to ask you this question. Who are the best people for you to interview for your book that are potentially candidates to consume the book and then execute on that? Because between now and then, this gives people to join the conversation with you and actually experience your awesomeness. And then maybe, so assume they don't want to be not shared with the world, but we can showcase those successes in the book. So let's hear me out here. If you can now share with the audience who you most want to connect with and you're writing this book for, and who would be the best person for you to interview, and discuss with them what your strategic plan would be to help them, who you're looking to help here. And then what we'll do is, as you go out and interview them and connect with them and pick the handful of people that will be featured in your book, we'll come back and talk about those damn ass success stories between now and then. And I would challenge you to make this happen in the next 100 days, because I want to see something. I want to see you make it rain in that time frame. So the challenge, and I want you to become a bestseller, but the challenge is to go connect with more people that you can implement this with. So we have new success stories to share, because you have so much value to give. I want to make sure we do more than you declaring the promise and the problem. I want you to talk about some of the solutions. You gave a couple about today, but I want to invite you back to say, this is what we did to transform blank. This is what we did to do such and such. So who do you want to connect with? Yeah, that's the question.
Okay. Business owners, founders, CEOs of small to mid-sized businesses, 10 million to 100 million in revenue. And it can be any industry. I tend to focus, when I work with people directly, I tend to focus on enterprise software and services, although I do have some other some customers in other areas. But I actually would like to get people that are outside of that area, because I want to get broader. I want to make sure that everything in the book is as broad as can be, right? That it'll help everybody as much as possible. So, if there's anybody out there and you're in a heavily regulated industry, I've worked in several heavily regulated industries. I would love to get your feedback and talk with you about what you're experiencing and what additional roadblocks are there with AI in your industries. How, have you done anything to get past those yet, right? So that is one in particular that I would love to get more, talk with more people about.
Okay, that's great, brother. And then let's assume that there's going to be some new success stories that you can share. That's when I want to have you come back. And on the journey, as you clarify your waiting list grows and you create the right momentum, I'm sure we're going to help you hit bestseller first. We typically try to help you pre-sell. We're pre-promotion. It's like if John Michael Thomas was to be featured in a movie, this is what you're seeing. He's Brad Pitt. You're Brad Pitt, and you're on the Tonight Show. I'm those guys.
I'm more like Jason Statham, but yeah.
Okay. That's a better frame. And I'm more like Oprah Winfrey. So I'm interviewing you about the new movie coming out about AI awesomeness, and then you're giving us the trailer of what's going to happen. And I'd love to have you back when you're sharing some of the success stories, because I can know what you did for me, which was to clarify what I was doing well with AI and where my gaps were. And so this isn't something that I think you had planned on sharing, but I found it very valuable. And this is potentially an assessment that you either have or could give give the audience so that they can self-assess. You might be able to even explain it right now of the different ways or categories or something of how we're using AI. And it's some questions that you asked me that I thought were really powerful. And if you don't have this yet, John, I would come up with an assessment that people could take that they could.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well,
I do.
you have. Okay. So talk to me about
Yeah.
like your frame of like how you're using AI and all that, because that was really important.
Okay. So in the book, in the framework that I teach, there's 6 pillars. I'm not going to go through all of those. But one of the key pillars is human-centric AI, which is, again, treating AI like it's human, but it's also making sure that AI is set up to work well with humans. And not treating it like some technical tool we got to learn technical skills. And so one of the things that I have is called the AI interaction pyramid. And this just kind of defines, I call it, it's our relationship with AI. So at the bottom is treating AI as if it's a tool. And this is what a lot of people do, where you tell it exactly what you want, exactly how to do it. You're micromanaging every little thing. You're just treating it like every other piece of software that you've had before. When you graduate from that, you get to treating AI as an assistant. And this is where now you're actually having a conversation. So now instead of just saying do X, Y, and Z, maybe you're saying, well, I want you to do this, and it gives you back, no, I don't like that. Let's change that, right? So now you're treating it a little bit more like somebody that works for you, but you still make all the decisions, and it's giving you feedback, and you're moving, you're developing context through a conversation rather than just trying to tell it everything up front. The next level up is AI as a collaborator. And as a collaborator now, you're not the one totally in control. You're going to say, hey, I want to do this thing. And AI is going to come back and say, well, you said this and I thought about this, so I did this other thing too. What do you think? Right? So now it's kind of like when you work with another human being who is independent and understands what's going on. And they're coming up with suggestions and ideas, and they're doing work that you didn't explicitly ask them to do. The next level up from that is AI as a coworker. And this is like a collaborator, except with a coworker, when you're using AI as a collaborator, you're still deciding when you want to work with AI. You're saying, we're going to do this now, and this is what we're going to do. When you get to the coworker level, you've got agents set up that will actually do the work without you asking them to do it. So you may have your SEO agent, and you've set it up so that now it's going to go in once a week and check your SEO on your site, and it's going to notify you instead of you asking it. Right? Hey, we've got this SEO thing we need to deal with. Up from that, you get to where AI is a teammate. And that's where you've got multiple AI agents working with multiple human beings, and you're just treating it like a team. The AI agents may talk to each other. They may talk to other people other than you, right? So you don't own them, right? And then finally, the top level is AI as an authority. Now, this is one you said you wanted, Trevor, but the reality is there aren't many people that actually want this, including you probably, because when AI is authority, AI is making the decisions, and we humans have to follow them. Now, I don't know of anybody that's doing this right now with AI as authority, but I expect within the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see this. And I can go into detail about why I expect that. It comes down to recognizing a real human relationship that exists right now and how AI can step into that role. But the key is, like, when you've got AI as authority, AI is making the decisions, and some human being somewhere has to do what AI says, or their job may be on the line. Right? That's where AI isn't just making decisions, because you can have AI tell you what to do at any point you want. It can say, I think you should do this, I think you should do this. And you have a choice whether or not to do that. When you get to level 6, tier 6, AI is an authority. You don't have a choice anymore. Somebody doesn't have a choice, right? Maybe it's the lower level techs or somebody, but somebody doesn't have a choice there. And I mean, there's actually levels beyond that I don't even bring up, because they might be a little scary to people. I
Well,
joke
because
that
it's God. It's like, I
Tier
think
7 is Skynet. I joke, but some people don't like that joke. But
yeah.
right, when you start getting to what AI is making decisions about, right, then you start talking about AI in government or something, and people are talking about
Yeah, I
that.
don't want it pressing any big red buttons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want anybody telling me everything that I have to do, although
Yeah.
I do like being told what to do. And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about just in the bedroom. I'm it's I do like having someone have a clear path and smart people to tell me what to do, because I know what I know in my
Yeah.
lane and then not outside of that. So I think it's a dance. But I think that that's a really key distinction that I hadn't made and that I valued, because I think the assessment, you should share that with anybody who comes to join the wait list. So let me make that plug again, because if you don't go to epic.media/JMT or use the QR code on the screen, you can just go there. You should be able to join the wait list, and then John can make it available. Some of the gifts that he's given, like he did a one-on-one with me. I'm not sure he's still
Yeah.
doing that, but with the right person, you'll interview them, you'll talk to them. You said the companies that are 10 million plus, let's say, can't remember if you said to 500 million or 50 million, whatever. But I know that you can talk to them and help them with a strategic plan that will set up their like AI map, which helps them know where they are, how they're using it, and how to improve. And I found that to
Yeah.
be extremely valuable. But I want to make sure I'm not like taking away from how powerful, John. I just think at the forefront it is when
Yeah.
you just say, like, I want to know where I'm at, man, and then what the next level is so I can get there. Because I don't want to just talk about, like, look, I'm talking too much. Like, I need to shut up and actually receive help. So I think it's really cool to know where you are and then where you go next.
Yeah, so if you go to that link, that page, there's something there for you to sign up for the waiting list. There's also something if you want to have an intro call with me, you want to talk to me about working with me and getting on my customer waiting list. Great. And if you go to the bottom of the page, I'm giving away free AI mastery sessions. And I'm doing that because my publisher, which is Trevor, told me I need more case studies for my book, right? So I have 6 spots left. If you go there now, and you can actually sign up for a free AI mastery session. It's 2 1-hour sessions, and basically I'm going to help you be better than 90% of the people you know with AI within the first hour. Okay. And then if you show up, if you want to keep going and you show up to the second hour, I'm going to deliver for you a custom AI agent that is designed to know you, so that, again, when you go to talk to AI, you don't have to give it these big long prompts. It knows who you are. It knows what you want, and it knows how to respond, right? So the goal there, these are things that this is a session I normally sell for over $6,000, because it's my time, right? It's my time to meet with you. It's my time to create the custom agent. And it's taking all of that knowledge, all the thousands of hours I've put into those agents, so that the agents do the work for you, right? And I'm giving these away free right now because I need to get the case studies for my book, right? So until the end of this month, or until the last 6 spots are taken, you can go there, you can sign up, and let's do that. Let's do it. Let me show you how to become better with AI than the people that you know, and to elevate you. We're going to figure out, where are you? Are you treating it as a tool? You're treating it as an assistant, and we're going to elevate you at least 1 level, if not 2.
Dude, that's really freaking cool. I didn't know you're going to do that and that you're putting that much into it, and they get a custom AI agent. So I'd take John up on that, and I'll share this as well, because that offer crushed. And let me take a step back, John, because I want to talk about you've really gotten some clarity around the AI mojo that you're going to bring people. But I know when we started working together, when we said you're going to do a book, that wasn't the first subject matter that we were going to talk about. What you've done for years has been some other stuff. And I think this would be a valuable, like how you got here for the clarity, because you've done a phenomenal job, I think, on framing who you're trying to help and what this new promise is and how you're delivering it. And let me be clear. When John and I started with the marketing decision of what he was going to be doing to attract new leads and promote and profit and whatnot, he started with the different idea that wasn't AI, because it was just there's other things he's passionate about other than AI. And when he went out and started talking to the world, he got some feedback and it wasn't what he wanted to hear. It was like, okay, like he got everybody said, yeah, John, I agree. And he kept talking to people who were saying like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Like, I think these things are important. Whatever, and you can talk about that maybe in a second. But then what you found was what they wanted to hear more about and what the challenges were AI. And so what happened is in the first couple of months, John was like, yay, I'm doing a book. And he had conversations with people that said, I know. And and he just wasn't getting momentum with his message. And when he pivoted to AI and he made the invitation that he just made, so I'm going to do the best I can to say it. What'd you call it, John? You said it was an AI mastery session.
AI mastery session.
Okay, that you normally charge thousands of dollars for. So when he did this inside of the community I have with Epic Author, he posted this. He's like, hey, I'm going to test this little thing. Would anybody like one of these AI mastery sessions? And I'm sharing this with you because if you want to be one of them, you better scoop it up, because I think it was in less than an hour. He had 6 people inside of our group saying, I want one. I know I'm one. I think I was like the 4th person to see it and then say, I want it. So if you want to get an AI mastery session, he normally charges $6,000 for it, go to look at his thing. So it's epicmedia/JMT. Chat in the thread here if you're on with us live. AI, and you can ask any question right now. And John, before we wrap stuff up, we can see if there's any Q&A, coming in. So this gives you a chance to chat. But John, that messaging, that invitation crushes. In my perspective, like who does not want an AI mastery session to help them like figure out like to do the thing? And the fact that you're going to deliver something customized with 2 sessions and then give them an AI agent, phenomenal. So kudos to you, dude. I can't imagine how that's not going to crush for you, because I want it again. Okay. So anyway, good job with that. But take a moment to share with the group here, anybody listening, on like what happened to help you figure that out, because it hasn't been joyous when you go out to the world and say, here's my idea, I'm gonna go ahead and write a book about this thing, and then like not have the momentum with the original idea that you wanted. And like kudos to you to making the pivot, but not everybody's courageous enough to make that pivot. They're like, I know I don't like it. Like I'm like, hey, what I had to say, you should just listen to me and do my thing. So what talk about that journey.
Sure. So when I came to you, I had already actually written most of a book, and the book was about how to solve problems. And a simple way to solve problems, again, focused on leaders, right? Because that's who I've worked with. That's the work I've done, is saying, hey, how do you solve problems? Because ultimately, whether it's AI or anything else, we're all solving problems. That's what we're doing all day. And I have spent most of my career being the guy that got sent out to solve the problems that nobody else could solve. So, I didn't go solve problems and said, hey, here's this new problem. It was like, hey, here's this problem that these 5 other people have failed to solve and we're stuck. That's what I got sent out to solve. And so I got really good at solving problems. And so I wrote a book about how I did that. I figured I systematized it. I learned how to train people how to do this, all this stuff. I was excited about it. I went out, I talked to people, and they're like, yeah, problem solving is really important. And they were all like, I got it all. I know how to do that already. I don't need your stuff, basically, is what it came down to. And so I was like, well, that's not kind of what I wanted to hear. But one thing that I found was I had one chapter of the book which was about how to solve problems using AI. And when I mentioned that, everybody was like, oh, tell me more about that. And I said, oh, okay. I guess everybody wants to know about AI. And, when I went to do the pivot, again, I already had a lot of experience with AI. I had done the work in the product side and on the operations side. I'd done some work many years ago in neural networks and machine learning. And so I had the background, and I said, okay, what is it about this, right? And that's when I came to realize, well, I'm using AI differently than other people are using it,
Yeah.
in that I'm treating it like it's human, and I'm doing a human-centered way of doing it. And when I talk to people about that, they were also excited. Oh, tell me more about that, because there's a lot of fear out there about
Yeah.
AI being, you know, making people lose their jobs, and people who aren't technical feel like they're being forced to be technical. But that you're the one that told me, and this was important. You told me. I was like, hey, I want to publish a book, and you're like, don't publish it yet. You're like, don't even write it yet. I'm like, I already wrote it. You're like, fine, don't publish it yet. Go talk to people about it and figure out, if that's what they want. And so, it's basic sales in some respect, but it's something a lot of authors don't think about is,
Yeah.
do you have, a product market fit? In this case, your product is your book. And you basically told me I need to go and figure out if I've got a fit, and I found out I didn't, right?
Yeah.
I was like a founder who created this whole product and then went out and found nobody wanted to buy it, right?
Yeah.
That's what I did with my book. Now, the good news, of course, is that a lot of what I put in that book, right, a lot of those problem-solving things, they do translate to AI, but there's some specifics of AI that come into play.
Well, yeah, it's an entire pivot. And you just said, I would agree with you. I've shared some AI tools, let's just say ChatGPT, with some family members or friends. Today,
Yeah.
I was at the gym and I have a friend at the gym who's in his 80s, and we always think we're funny. And so he says something funny to me, and I say something funny to him. We think we're funny. And he said today he was sitting down and I was giving him a hard time. I'm like, "You're always resting here at the gym?" And he said, "Actually, I just found out that I have dementia and blah blah." And it was odd because we don't normally get into a serious conversation. And then I was asking him some questions. We were talking about his health situation, and he's not the first person that I introduced to AI. But I was like, "Hey, have you asked ChatGPT about this?" He didn't even know
What it
what that
was.
meant. And to show him, I just showed him my ChatGPT. So I opened the app and I just started talking to it. So I just hit the little volume button.
Yep.
And it's that human thing that you just mentioned. Because when I showed it to my father in law, it was the same thing. He's like, I'm not going to use that. I don't want to use that. I don't need that new techie fandango thing. And I was like, okay, but it's kind of like you're going out to try to pull a tree out of the ground by the roots, as opposed to just chopping the thing down or using a chainsaw, or like you make a phone call and someone just removes the tree. Like it's really not that complicated. And to help them figure it out, I just hit the button and then talk to it. And I'm like, I'm sitting here with my friend Kevin, and I just rattled on. He just told me this thing, blah, 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 and we went on about it. And then I hit go, and in a fraction of a second, it gives me a response. And he was like, oh, like that's that. And I could have told him all I wanted to, my father-in-law. I could have told him all. I was like, because he just was saying no. He was at my house for like, because I mean, I would love my in-laws to visit for long, long time periods of time. And he'd been in my house for a while. And like he was like, still not using that ChatGPT thing or whatever he was calling it. And I was like, seriously? So I just showed him, and he was like, oh. And so now it's his new best friend. So because he understanding that, like the people, the humanism that you mentioned right there, I think I've had to learn it massively, and you helped me realize that. Anyway, John, thank you for being here. I'm excited for that, and I want to compliment you on having the courage to pivot, because when you do write that book and put all your energy and effort into that thing and then try to get it out there in the marketplace and hear crickets or just not what you're looking for, congratulations on taking enough action to find out you needed to pivot. And it's not that people or the world saying, no, I don't like your stuff. It's just they like a part of it. And if we choose to emphasize those parts, then that can be the thing. Give people what they want and then give people what they need. But you don't necessarily have to give them what they need first. Like they still need the problem solving and all that, but you had the courage to find your voice. And we do that through the promotion of your message to the marketplace. And in this case, the message to the marketplace is, if you want to get better at AI and you're in business to help other people with cool things, like not assholes probably, go to epic.media/JMT, join the waitlist, and be one of the first 6 people down apparently at the bottom of his page. Will be something along the lines of sign up for the AI Mastery class or course or session, and you get 2 of those with John, and he's going to customize an agent that can go to work for you, which I wish he would have done for me when you did that one for me. But take advantage of that right away. And I'm sure John will share with you more things in his journey here, because documenting new case studies for his book is the next thing. Because he already wrote the book about problem solving. Now it's like, okay, how do I? He already had a chapter on AI, and now it's pivoting like, okay, if that's what everybody wants, then let me have new case studies about that he can share with the world. So you'd be helping him. You'd be helping me. Let's make him look really cool and successful. Somebody who wants to take the next level of AI, of the 6 tiers. What is it? The elevator of AI awesomeness? What is it? What do you call it?
The AI interaction pyramid.
The AI interaction pyramid. Of course, that's exactly what it is. The AI interaction pyramid. Go check that out. And before we wrap stuff, John, let me see if there's any questions from the Peanut Gallery. Len, are we still live? And has anybody asked a really hairy question for the 2 follically challenged humans in front of you?
Yes, we are still live and questions. Roger asked, how do you get a whole team on board with AI when people are scared of it?
So the details matter, but part of the answer to that depends on what you mean by a team. So typically when I'm working with leaders, I'm working from the top down. So like I said up front, I work with CEOs, business owners, founders. And that's because, and this may be your challenge or may not, I need to know more details, but one of the biggest predictors of failure for AI adoption or AI transformation is when top leadership is not driving it. So if you're trying to get one team within an organization to come up on AI, you're going to have a lot of challenges with it. Now, hesitation, when teams have hesitation to use AI, it's important to understand the why. And I have an assessment to help figure out what that is, right? So there's a few key things that make people hesitant to use AI. The base of all of them is enablement. So if they don't feel that they have support from management, like management saying, yes, you can use AI, and yes, you should use AI, people are going to balk. Now, if you look at some of the studies, they show that 77% of people, of employees, regular employees, have said that they are hesitant to use AI because they're afraid it's going to make them look bad, like they're not good enough, right? They're using AI rather than doing the work themselves. Or they're afraid that if they do use AI, their management's going to think it's going to take their jobs. And so that comes down to whether they trust AI and whether they trust management, right? Those are 2 important things. And so one of the things that I do when I work with leaders is I've got an assessment to say, hey, let's figure out what your team's attitudes about AI are, because you can say, hey, they're hesitant, but if you don't know why, you can't address it. And if you give them technical training and here's how to use the tools and all this, and they're hesitant, that training isn't going to stick. And so what I would answer to you is, maybe book a call with me or contact me on LinkedIn, whatever, and let's talk about how you can figure out. I have an assessment, and maybe I'll give that to you, or I can give you some basics, but you need to figure out where the hesitation is coming from. And you need to address the hesitation first. Once you address the hesitation, then you're going to give them training or you're going to help work with them, and it's going to move. And if you don't address the hesitation, then you can push anything you want and it's going to get in the way. Now, there's some other things as well. One of the other big hesitations people have is that some people just don't like working with machines. They want to work with people. And so the way you address that blocker or that objection is very different than the way you address somebody who just doesn't trust AI or doesn't trust management to allow them to use it without using it against them. Hopefully that helps answer some questions there, but the real answer is it depends, and I've got an assessment to help you with that.
The real answer is that his original book about problem solving is probably where we need to begin. Like, let's identify the problem and get specific about it. I got it.
Now there's 4 factors. There's 4 hesitation factors that I address, right? Enablement is one, trust is one, the desire to always work with people is one, and off the top of my head, I don't even remember the other one, but it came from studies, right? It came from looking at the studies, looking at how people respond and saying, hey, how do we figure out, we know what the top blockers are, how do we figure out whether people have those blockers or not? And then now we know that we can address that. And there's ways to use, I wouldn't call it training, but there's ways to address those blockers.
That was a good question. And Len, you might have more from the peanut gallery here, but I have one that I just looked up, and it's someone asks, what's the biggest risk AI? Hold on. What's the biggest AI risk almost no one in business is talking about, but should be losing sleep over? And hold on, let me yeah. Give us an answer to that one.
Um, I can't guarantee almost no one in business is talking about this because it has started to come up recently. But one of the very first things, right back in, I think it was January or February of 2023, when I looked at AI, one of the biggest risks I identified, which people weren't talking about for like a year and a half, but now we're starting to talk about, is that when people are using AI to do their work, their brains start to atrophy a little bit in terms of doing that work. And I'm going to bring this up both because it's a concern, but also because there's actually a solution to this, to looking at it a certain way and recognizing it's not as dangerous as we think. But if you look, for example, at programmers, when programmers start to get AI building their code, and particularly junior programmers that haven't done the work before, they may never actually learn those skills. One of the things, I started life as a developer, and one of the things I said early in my career was, you never really know how to program something until it becomes trivial for you. You've done it enough times that it's trivial. Now you do it right.
Mm,
Well, junior programmers, they're using AI so much, some of them are not learning those skills. And what that means for the business is, the business is not developing junior programmers into intermediate and senior programmers. And in fact, some businesses are starting to say, hey, we're not going to hire junior programmers, we're going to use AI. But if you don't hire junior programmers, where are you ever going to get your intermediate programmers in 10 years? They're
mm,
not going to exist, right? And so it's important for companies to understand that's a really clear case because it's very technical. But the same is true for people learning how to write marketing copy. If you don't have to do the work to write marketing copy, how do you build those skills?
yeah.
Right. So
So building the skills, I think that's pretty key.
it's really key. And when you're using AI a lot, you're not building those skills and you're not maintaining some of those skills, even if you're a high level person. But the important thing, and there are people that are starting to get very worried about this. Now, it is something you need to pay attention to. Businesses need to say, hey, we can't just not hire junior people because otherwise we won't have intermediate and senior people because, hey, we're going to go try to hire them from somebody
Yeah.
else. But guess what? They didn't hire junior people either. So now we're going to end up with a lack of people with humans with the appropriate skills. Now, the appropriate way to look at this, though, and say, hey, this isn't the end of the world, is the reality is when you're using AI, what you're really doing is delegating your work. And so when you look at it that way, you realize that maybe the junior people we need to actually do some of the work directly because they got to build those skills. But when you get to a certain level, you're going to delegate your work, and that doesn't atrophy your brain, right? Managers don't atrophy their brains because they ask somebody else to do the work. Right? So it's not an
Yeah.
existential threat, but we need to make sure that those pipelines that build up that give people the skills they need are there.
You
Otherwise,
know,
we're gonna have a dearth of the people we need.
John, the other day, you and I were on a coaching call talking about marketing and business and books and
Yep.
things. And one of the other epic authors was there, and they said, "How do I hire an assistant?"
Yep.
And we discussed this, and I said, well, what are you hiring the assistant for? And in this case, let's say it's messaging people on social media. And I'm like, well, do you know how to message people on social
Hmm.
media for the next thing?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, really? You're like, have you done it? Have you documented it? Have you done whatever? And so I think that the concern that she was addressing, or that I was addressing with her, was you can hire somebody great, but like if you don't know how to do it, how on God's green earth are you going to hire another human to do it? And if you don't know how to do it, or you're just assuming AI is going to be this magical box and you just hire some assistant to just do this thing magically for you, the odds that you're going to find somebody to just do that, unless you hire really well, like you can probably say, hey, Michael
Yeah.
Jordan, would you come on board here and shoot some baskets? My guess is that guy's not going to lead to a lot of training. He's probably going to shoot some flipping baskets, but most of the time, I don't think that's how we look at AI and or our teams. Really great. Dude, I got one more question for you that came up here. I'm going to go ahead and read it for you because this is one that, if I do this properly, this is a dude on fire. Okay, he says, dude, in 10 years, when people look back at this moment in AI, what do you think they'll say that? Hold on. I'll do it again. Dude, in 10 years, when people look back at this moment in AI, what do you think they'll say that we completely underestimated? Okay. Did you get the question? I'm trying to be silly, but did you get
I
that?
did. I
Okay.
got the question. So in 10 years, when people look back on AI, what are they going to think we totally underestimated?
Yeah.
Um, I think I
I
tend to
like
think
this
in terms
question.
of I tend to think in terms of what we're overestimating rather than what we're underestimating. I think that um, the capability right now, the thing that people are not really addressing with AI. So I'll look at it from a business perspective of, hey, you're going to implement some AI projects. There's only a few major things that AI can do for you if it works, right? Number one is it's going to save you some time and effort, right? It's going to reduce the amount of time and effort. Number two is it's going to allow you to do better quality for what you're doing now. And number three is it's going to allow you to do new things that you haven't been able to do, either because you didn't have the skills or because you didn't have the time. And there's really a fourth one there that people are not really looking at a lot right now, and that is having AI to smooth, using AI to smooth the rough edges or the interaction. So I'm going to give you an example in one of the big technical bottlenecks. Again, I come from a tech background. Is one of the biggest technical bottlenecks on every technology ever so far has been integration. You've got different systems, right? There's tens of hundreds of thousands of different apps out there, and trying to get them to talk to each other has always been very labor intensive work that requires a lot of human effort, a lot of trial and error. Well, this is one of those areas that AI, because of the nature of AI, because it can be dynamic and go on the fly, this is where I think AI is going to have a huge impact, but people aren't really talking a lot about it now. You're going to end up with AI systems that say, hey, here's this system over here. Here's this system over here. They don't know how to talk to each other. And you're going to put AI in the middle and say, figure it out. And AI is going to figure it out. And so now instead of having to do all this trial and error, have a lot of human effort, you're going to be able to take two systems that don't know anything about each other, point them at each other, and have AI figure out how to make them work together. That is going to be huge. It's going to be huge from an effort standpoint, but it's also going to be huge because you're going to see a level of interconnectedness in different databases, different apps that we can't really comprehend right now. It kind of turns all the data everywhere into big data when you can do that. And so I think that's probably the area that I would highlight as we're underestimating the impact that that's going to have once that really gets going. And AI is what's going to enable that.
Hmm. I like that. I like the 1, 2, 3, 4 you just came up with. To not burden people with me repeating it, I'll just say if you didn't write that down, then go listen to the transcript or go AI this. Dude, this has been great. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna ask for to invite you back. Let's say sometime in the next 100 days, when you've ideally you've achieved bestseller by that time, and we've got a new case study or two for you to share, like what they implemented and executed that gave some kind of ridiculous return on investment, because we're here to make it rain, and I want to give people not just the beginning of this journey with you, but like how you've done it. And some of the hows that you just mentioned when it comes to anybody who might want to create authority and do the book thing was that you got clear about a path you're going to go on to promote it so that it was going to be successful, and discovered that it was time to pivot your message. And then you pivoted your message to what people actually want right now. And now you have a whole brand new marketing plan and business plan to serve a bigger need that people really have. So I think this comes down to humility. It comes down to empathy and the ability to listen. And congratulations for being a phenomenal listener. And I always love talking to you, and I can't wait to hear about your successes when we have you back and you can share with us how the hell you made it rain. So, John, anything else before we wrap stuff up?
No, just thank you for having me on. It's been great. I mean, I love hearing myself talk, and I hope that there's people listening that you got something that you can take. So the one thing I would say is understand I'm not about theory, right? I've been in business my whole life. Theory is great when I'm on the weekend, right? And I'm reading. But I'm about practicality. People have told me I'm brutally practical. And so everything that I do, everything I tell you to do is intended to be practical. So the AI interaction pyramid is not intended to be theory. That has things behind it that tell you, hey, now you know these. We can configure your tools to get you up to the next levels without you having to do the work, right? So everything that comes out, everything in the book is about practically delivering real value. right? And so that's what I would say is if you go back and you look at this transcript, try to take things I've given you and use them, right? Use them, please, right? That's what's going to make a difference for you and for your team and for everybody, really.
Well, I'm going to repeat what you said here as well.
Yeah.
And I said that I wouldn't, but good luck with that. You said that what AI will do right now is it saves you time and effort. And the reason that I tried to share it with my father-in-law or with my friend at the gym is that I'm like, hey, he has some challenges right now he's trying to get answers to. And I didn't tell him I think AI is going to solve his dementia problem. But like I did say that he could have a conversation. He was asking me at the gym, like, I'll tell you what, I'm guessing AI is going to do a slightly bit better job of like helping guide him than me going, I heard
Yeah.
someone said hot plunges are really good. These are cold plunge hot sauna. Okay. So, that AI can help you with quality, like making something better, or doing something new. And good Lord, like you can learn something new pretty quick if you had a phenomenal, a really intelligent helper, and then smoothing the rough edges, I guess. So I think that's phenomenal. I can't wait to have you back. And maybe I'll have some personal stories of how you've given me one of these little custom agents that does shit for me that I can go ahead and tell the world about. So, thank you, John. And let's go ahead and tune over to the director, the chief chaos coordinator, Lenina Belinguez. Good Lord, Len, I got to remember your last name. So, but Len, is it time that we now go not live, or is there anything else to share from the live studio audience on LinkedIn or YouTube?
Yeah, we still have one question from Sarah right here. If I run a small business, where should I even start with AI?
Good question. All right, so I'm gonna give you another quick framework, and we don't have a lot of time, but there's 6 stages to AI transformation. Okay, number one is awareness. You know AI is out there. You know you probably should be doing something with it, but you don't know how. Number two is experimentation, right? And if you don't know where to start, that's where you're going to go to. You're going to go to stage two. That's experimentation. That's where you're figuring out. You're starting to use AI, and the goal here is not to be successful in everything. It's to try things and see what works and what doesn't. The third stage is adoption. That's where you go from experimentation to actually using things in real, day-to-day use. You start integrating them into your process. So you build on the experimentation. What did you learn? And you say, let's start using it. The fourth stage is value. Okay. And value is where you say, we're not just going to use AI, but now we're going to make sure that it's affecting the bottom line. The fifth stage is transformation, and that's where you start integrating AI into every part of your business. You say, hey, we now learned this, we've used it in a few places. Let's pull it in. Let's put it into HR. Let's put it into strategy. And then the final stage is what I call just the way things are. And that's when you have a culture shift where people aren't talking about how do we use AI, they're just using it everywhere. Okay. So when you don't know where to start, you're in awareness phase, go to experimentation. That means start to pick. I would say pick 3 or 5 projects. If you're a small business, just start with one and say, let's just try something. And I can give you more details, and the book's going to go into detail about how you pick those projects because you don't want to pick something that's going to be too big, but you want to pick something that's small. You want to pick something that's low risk. And that means something that if it fails, it's not going to affect your current business, right? And you want to pick something that you can do with either existing AI tools if you have them or with off the shelf AI tools. You don't want anything that you're going to have to do fancy AI and fancy tech work with, right? And so um, if you reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn, or go to my website and schedule an intro call with me. I can give you some um, really quick guidance on the type of projects that you want to pick for those experiments. Start with 1 or 2, try them out. If you're lucky, one of them will succeed and you'll actually get something useful. And if you're not, guess what? You will learn something that will help you be successful the next time you go, right? And once you've had a few experiments that are successful, now you can start to get into the adoption phase. Is that
So,
helpful?
John, it is for me, and I'm thinking what's funny about this is while you were talking, I was listening. I'm clicking little buttons here, so sometimes it only shows you, or
Yeah.
it's showing me with you. And I was thinking, what if you were AI and you had just given me that answer, I would have responded back and been like, okay, what's the one sentence answer? Like, what's the
Yeah.
pretend I'm in third grade? Like how if I'm in small business and I want to use AI, And I'm going to give you the first one so you have time a second to think about this. And I put your QR code up here. So scan the QR code. And he said, go talk to me. Like I'll actually specifically help you with that. So it's go to epic.media/JMT or the QR code link that'll take you there. But then the other one is what's the one sentence or the third grader version of that? So it's like, okay, if I want to use AI to grow my small business, what would it be?
You mean what projects would it be? Or
I don't know. I think the question, we can have Len read Sarah's question again, but it's like, how do I start using
basically,
AI in my
if you don't
business?
know how to start, you're going to pick some projects to experiment with. That's the one sentence version.
Okay.
And there's details about
Give
how
me
to
an
pick those
example of a
projects, but
project.
that's, yeah, you're going to try things out and see what works because you
So
need to
give
learn
me
and
an
your team
example.
needs.
I know I'm
Okay.
interrupting you, dude,
Okay.
because I'm trying to
Yeah.
get you to AI. I'm trying to get you to be Chat GPT for me. I'd be like,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
shut up,
Gotcha.
Chat GPT, stop being
Okay.
so complicated. Like, well, it's just
Okay.
what should I go do next? Because John, like I
Yeah.
feel like I'm more that ADD freaking third grader that just wants to know, like, but what do I got to go do? And I got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old in the house that I got to be like, dude, go brush your teeth. Like, it can't be more complicated. If you were to really caveman this down for me, what do you mean? What's the thing we can do?
Okay.
It's so contextual. You're like, this is hard because you're like, you
Well,
want to know.
it's contextual because it's going to vary. It is going to vary,
Okay.
but let's talk about some of the things that are really common. Um,
Really tight answer. This is a short thing. Come on, man. Give me one.
um, have AI do your competitive research.
Okay, that sounds like gold, dude. Now, how would I do
You
that?
go to AI and you say, this. You tell it what your industry is, what your product is, and say, go find my competitors, and then tell me, what the differences are in between my product and theirs, and compare it for me.
And then I'm going to go ahead and plant a seed here that the way that you might do that is open up the voice to chat thing and just talk to it.
Yes.
And you can also ask it to ask you back, like, what else do you need to know so that you can give me a good comparison? So, my little advice
Yeah.
on this is have a conversation with it. And I'm not a big brain like John. John's trying to give you a really concrete answer. I'm like, I don't know, why don't you ask it? So, like ask it. But what he's just saying, I think that's
Well,
really
y-
key. I think
you
very
know,
few people do the research to try to find out how they stand with their competitors. That's really
you,
good.
you actually you actually hit on something that's actually very important, and that is that anything you want to ask me about how to use AI, you can ask AI itself.
Yeah.
And it's going to give you different answers than I am. It's going to give you kind of what more common answers are. So the only caution I would say is it may try to send you down a technical rabbit hole, right, where you got to learn all these skills. Ignore
Yeah.
that part, but you can tell it to focus. Hey, I don't want to get technical. I want to know what I want to do with AI. What should I do next? Yeah,
Well, I've hired experts before. I've got you help me. I've got someone else helping me with something tech I'm doing in my office.
yeah,
I'll give a short I'm setting up my virtual studio right now. And so I've got all these things and buttons and stuff that I'm trying to trigger. And so I'll use AI like, how do I do that thing to do the thing so that it does the thing so that if I want to switch the camera to the thing, do the thing that it does the thing. And then I hired someone to help me with this and he goes, and I gave him the answer. I'm like, this isn't solving my problem. Like I asked the AI to how to solve this problem, and he goes, "Yeah, that's a horrible answer." Like he goes, that's not it at all. Like it told you that. Like wow. So yeah, you can ask it. It doesn't mean it's always going to take. Like I think it's a
no,
great tool. I think that research one was a really good one, John. I can't wait to have you back, and thank you for being on Make It Rain with Trevor Crane. Let me go back to the director, Len, my chief chaos coordinator. Anything else before we wrap and rock and roll on this?
No, we're good. We could probably go to post game.
Okay, post game. So, John, I the last time I had there was a small request, and this is a test. We're seeing if it's okay to share with people the pregame, which is how you and I chat before the call, and then the postgame of how we chat after. So I guess we're going to stay on live for a second, is what
sure.
Len, the director, is telling me. So welcome to the postgame of Make It Rain with Trevor Crane. And next time you want to go ahead and let's say you want to show up and be Sarah or Bob or Joe or Roger, whoever asked these questions, go to jointrevor.com and you can become part of the live studio audience that is here. And then John, I thought you rocked it, man. Great job. I love all the purple. I love the purple shirt. Love the purple thing. Like that, you're looking good.
That's my signature purple. That's my brand color.
Well, I just chose black because I'm boring, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good, man. I'm excited for that mapping call that you do with people, and I think I'd be really surprised if those don't fill up. Now, here's the cool thing about today's show. I know we don't have a huge audience with our lives right now because we just started it yesterday.
Yeah.
But what I hope to do is you had such great rants there is to have the edit of this. We'll use some AI tools as well, but I have a team that's going to try to pull out some cool pieces of content for you. So you can have a little 1, 2, 3, 5 minute thing about who you work with, what you're doing, and whatnot. And as I mentioned to you before, I want this to be part of your new content revolution because I have different AI people that I follow on LinkedIn, let's say, no, not LinkedIn, YouTube, and I don't see your face there. So I'm hoping to see your face there soon with you sharing some of this stuff because you speak from a place of such conviction, being in the trenches doing it. I just think it's important that you level up with that. And I'm going to ride your ass like Zorro between now and the end of the year so that we can get more content out there that you're bringing. So I hope this will be a catalyst and I'll give you a few pieces that are good. And if they're not good, then you'll say, well, I'm glad I didn't hire you for that shit because, you know, but good job, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, that
Uh,
was good, and it was good questions.
mhm. Well, when's your bestseller scheduled? Do you have it scheduled on the schedule yet?
It's December. I'd have to look up the date.
Okay. Well, my advice is talk about your book every day. Try to get one more person on the wait list and ask for intros. And
Yep.
I think focusing on that intro piece. Remember when Jess took what you posted inside of our group and then I had him do it for content? He filled his calendar and did like 80 grand of new business in 2 weeks or something like that. At least he contracted that. I don't know that that was collected, but he filled his calendar right away by I'm going to launch these mapping calls, and we call it the content mapping call.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on doing the same. So soon, when my calendar will allow, we're going to fill my calendar of one day a week that I do epic content mapping calls for people, like you're doing the AI map. No, you're calling it the mastery call, AI mastery. But I think that is at the forefront of what you now fill. And then we had David Wilkinson on today, and he was so consistent with the stuff that like the interviews and the whatnot at the very beginning. It took him about 100 days for that momentum, but now he's just crushing, and he's got a waiting list of both clients and the new projects and things. So,
Yep.
I'm excited to see what content does for you because let's do that. Are you open to posting content? Let's say we start in October and you start putting out, dude, how about this? One video a week that's
Yeah, I
valuable.
mean, I've been putting a lot of effort into content. I slacked off in the past week, but I've been putting a lot of content in it. Some of the content it went made it into my book, right? So stuff I was
Yeah.
just, I follow up with research, I do content, and again, my content is practical. It's either practical or I'm not doing it. The video stuff I haven't done, but I'm absolutely fine with doing it, right? I
Yeah.
just, I don't have a setup. I need to figure out what that setup is if I'm going to do that regularly, probably. But
Well,
but I
one of
know
the
you
reasons,
gave some
yeah, I
suggestions
mean,
for
so
that
so
already.
here's my suggestion on setup, and this will be the last piece of our pregame, postgame, and then we can wrap it and then jump off, and I can go be a dad or whatever else I have to do. So what I'm doing with our epic media content is you just got to decide one day to go start, and you can have whatever you want. Like I figured it out so that I can put a sticky here, but that's certainly not a requirement on how you do things. And to to revive to take the magic away on doing that, I have more than one camera and I point one down. So that's the
Yeah.
magic of that. Um, but you certainly don't need anything. And so when we decided to launch the podcast, there are really great streaming podcasts that platforms I can use. I could, like there's a beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and I chose to just be beginner. The beginner is that you just start and you figure it out and make a lot of mistakes on the way. I'm just using Zoom. So we upgraded our Zoom settings. So ideally, we have a higher quality audio and video. But there's a small checklist I have on doing that, and I'll give that to you because you're in our Epic community. And so you'll get what are the basics to just up level what you've got. But I truly want people to start with their phone and a free Zoom account and let's say you put your course out there, put it on Google Docs because it's just free. And people want to know what to do. They don't need it to be cute. And then you can up level it to intermediate, and then you can take it to advanced. Now, I hesitate to show my studio in this context because it's like people think they might need advanced. Like, you don't need 3 monitors and lights, all this baloney. I have a wall over there that's going to do some stuff. Like, that can be daunting and makes you think that that's what's required to start. So when I started this podcast, I was like, well, why don't we just start? We'll go with as fast as we could. We were like, okay, can we get a fast logo? Can we just start? Because I know the first 100 are going to suck compared to the second 100. Because I'm figuring every time, like today, I learned 7 things that we should be doing slightly differently on the show. So the way that I want to help you for the next 100 days, like between now and the end of the year, is just like when's the day you're going to say go. And you don't have to go live like this. That complicates things, there's no doubt, because I'm trying to figure out, I've got 3 or 4 people paying attention to what we're doing right now, so someone can give us the question and Len can help me with the tech, right? But what a cost on that. How about I'll just help you with using the assets you've got to just make a video that matters, and we'll do 1 a week, and I'll give you the AI tools we're using to help us do that, so we can not just make it practical, but make it practical being we can do research using these AI tools to see what does YouTube want to see? What does your audience want to see on YouTube? And so I've only put like 10,000 hours into figuring this crap out. So I'm trying to do that for you so I can just be like, okay, dude, just do the research right here and then say that. And then with your background, with everything you're doing with AI, John, the future of my brand, I want it to be that people do media and that's where they communicate real, raw, and relevant, um, and then they amplify it with AI. And that's like message number 1 is you need authority and you need to announce your stuff and create media. And message number 2 is amplify with AI, which is copy, duplicate, and speed and everything you talked about. So at any rate, that's the vision of me starting this with you, so that it's a catalyst for you to do more marketing. And then even the reason that I'm in, let me see, I'll take this back to post game and pre-game. I'm vaguely aware while we're talking right now, I'm still on social, and there might be 2 people paying attention to this ever in the history of the world, right? Because you're the first 100 episodes, you're not the 101. So by definition, this one sucked. Not you, but me, right? So, but at any rate, that's I'm gonna just challenge you that we start sometime in October to 1 video a week. And I'm gonna choose YouTube as your primary channel because it lives for forever. And LinkedIn is probably where you're gonna generate more business, but we'll curate it for LinkedIn. It'll be a smart pivot. And then the long form will turn into short form. And we'll use some AI tools to make that happen. I right now have a team that will be using the AI tools, like you said, so they'll be doing it in a smart way. And ideally, you'll get that from me soon so that we can have a couple pieces that make you look really awesome. Maybe one will be with me and the mullet, because that was a golden moment. All
Awesome.
right. Well, that's enough. Len, I think we're good to go from post show to like Ixnay on
No show.
this show scale.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys. Go to jointrevor.com if you want to be live. We are on fire over here trying to make it rain. And last chance, if you're looking at my video right now, then I love you, and join the wait list. Go to epic.media/JMT. John, thanks for being here, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Len and Sucker.